What's up, family? Thank you for tuning in to the DreamNation podcast. My name is Casanova. I'll be your host, and I'm excited to be bringing to you entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and trailblazers from around the world. Stay locked in with us because we're about to go on a journey that will change your life. What's up, DreamNation? We are back again with another episode, and I'm sure this one right here will do nothing other than inspire you to go out there and, as my girl would say, get your coin. And so without further ado, please help me in welcoming my sister, Miss Ashley Ann, to the show. You want to go ahead and say what's up to DreamNation?
Hey, y'all. Hey, what's going on, DreamNation? I'm super excited to be here today. Excited.
Yes, we're excited to have you on here. And the way that I always love to give the proper introduction, I don't know if you've heard before, but I like to compare us as entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and change makers to superheroes. And the reason being is because we're constantly flying around the world. We're putting on our cape and we're trying to solve some of the world's biggest problems. And so what we know is behind every superwoman, there is that Lois Lane. And so behind the superwoman that we know as Ashley Ann, take us back to when you were just a young girl and tell us, who is that Lois Lane?
Oh, country. Southern. I go between Southern and country. I guess I'm more country when it's time to get it done. And then sometimes I reside as a Southern belle, hardworking, family girl, really learned at an early age how to make nothing into something in the country. In a place called Scott, Arkansas. No street lights, no sidewalks. So you get how country it is, like real life, dirt roads.
No sidewalks. I hear
no sidewalks.
I hear no street lights a lot, or maybe street or stop signs or something, but I never really hear no sidewalks.
Those are like country. Like at night, it was time to go in. It was dark. You couldn't see anything. Like so I grew up in the country. Let's see. And you learn how to work hard. You feed chickens. You do the hog pen. We had a garden that was probably the size of a football field that we worked. Definitely, I guess people would say humble beginnings. There was a time it was like 10 of us living in a 3-bedroom trailer. You know what I mean? And we didn't even, but none of the kids, none of us thought we were poor. None of us thought we were struggling. It was just life. You got out and you did what you did. So all of those things instill a really strong work ethic. And I think overall, they probably have given me my competitive advantage because you have to become creative and you have to get really resourceful with your resources. So it's really cool because I've been able to experience several economic, levels of going from literally, like I said, starting at a more humble spot in life, watching my parents work and build up to put us into a working class and becoming middle class. And then I kind of took the baton and went, you know what I'm saying, like that. But yeah, so that's it. Like at the core, I love people. I think a lot of people would describe me as definitely giving, but also honest. I'm the friend. If you want to know the truth, call me and I'm going to tell you. But not only am I going to tell you, I'm then going to do everything that I can to help you. You know what I'm saying? Accomplish whatever it is. Come to my house. I always got something for you to eat or for you to drink.
That's where that Southern belle comes out, that Southern hospitality.
Always. I love events and design and for things to be beautiful, but I want them to be functional. So I know some people either or. I can't deal in either or. It has to be beautiful and it has to be functional. And I definitely am resilient and super consistent. I tell people all the time, and I may not be the smartest, I may not be the fastest, but you're not going to outwork me. I'm the most consistent and I have the most endurance, and everyone else will fall away and I will still be there. So, yeah.
I love it. Consistency and resiliency that's the formula for success, if I've ever heard it. And so I love that you said that. For a lot of people right now, I think that that's where they're struggling at. And maybe you can attest to this because you've helped so many clients. But before we even get into all of that, let's talk about how your entrepreneurship journey really started, because for you, you've been doing multiple things. You have college degrees, so you can resonate on that side. But then you've also been able to not only have 7-figure, 8-figure success for yourself, but also help clients do it. So you've been, like you said, all over the spectrum. Where did this start for you? And especially, where did this start for you in the becoming a business owner world?
Oh, if I'm really because someone had asked me this before a few years ago and I really, really had to think about it. I've always had the gift of business and making money, like literally my whole life. Even when I go back to junior high or high school, I was the kid that could like raise the most funds. I could come up with the ideas. You know what I'm saying? I remember, I think it was in high school, and I was on the African American Studies Club, and we were doing a fundraiser. And I was like, oh, we should sell teddy bears and flowers and blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been a hustler. Like, I sold Avon when I was in high school. Like, who was doing that? I was selling lip gloss to all the little girls and to my teachers, and I was showing the manual. You come
You
in with
had to
this
get the
stuff. So
coin.
I would go with my grandma to the farmer's market and get stuff set up to sell or whatever. So I know it sounds weird, but it's like all that I know is always naturally been in me. And you have to have my mom tell you these stories. She's like, oh no. She's like, always had a gift. You've always been different. She was like, when I was a little kid, they would have to stop me. Like, I want to wear like gloves and boas and hats to school. So clearly, like knowing how to attract attention and then convert that, which I didn't realize that's what I was doing at the time, but being able to convert that into some type of sale or action that I wanted people to take. So like probably way, way back then when I realized that I had a gift when it came to like monetization and sales and conversion and stuff like that. I didn't really pick that up until I was like 25.
Mm.
Like
And where
20.
did that start for you picking that up? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that. And I think the thing that is so dope to watch is it seems like you've always known who exactly you were. Where a lot of people, they struggle with selling too much because they feel like they're not a salesman. But for you, did you ever have that struggle early on that you were like, I don't want to come off too salesy?
Nah, like because I didn't, and again, this is how sometimes things are just God gives all of us different gifts. I've always just been in the vein of informing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
it was I didn't have to sell a client to get their event budget to go up. Well, let me backtrack. Let me answer the question first. So for those of you that don't know me, which is pretty much all of you guys, because I'm new to your community. So my very first company that I made $1 million was an event design and production company called Events by Ashley Ann. It is still operational right now. I do luxury events. So all of these ostentatious like weddings and baby showers and dirty 30 parties and people hanging out of the ceilings and all that stuff. That's me. That's what your girl does on the creative side. Remember, I told you I like aesthetically pleasing things. That's how I learned that I was gifted at social media, monetization, and sales. Now, if we back that back a little further, when I was in college, I had a professor, Dr. Ron Mugoy, and he was probably the person that realized that I was really gifted at sales. And he was like, you're natural at it because you're not salesy. He said, you're really good at taking high level information and breaking it down so that people can consume it and making them want whatever it is that you're talking about. So that was it. And I was like, sales, I'll be honest, because I grew up in the country and I live in Arkansas, y'all. So it's not like I have a lot of examples of other Black men or Black women in high level executive positions or sales positions and things like that. So I didn't even really realize that was a career. So when he said sales, I'm like sell shoes, shirts.
Right, right, right.
No, I'm not, it's not registering to me, right? In that capacity, I'm like, I get a lot of tips because I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, well, I used to work at Taco Bell. I used to get tons of tips in the drive-thru. People say, it's still not connecting the dots to help me get a gig with the corporation that I started working for. Because he was like, no, he was like, he's like, you really need to think about high-end, high-dollar sales. Now, at the same time, I was going through an entrepreneurship program and we were having to do a feasibility study. And I had another professor, Professor Don Bradley, and that was the one that like pushed me to cultivate my idea for my business. And that's how I actually got Events by Ashley Ann up and running and out of hobby mode. So that's when I actually became a entrepreneur. Like that's
Right. A
how
real business owner.
Yeah, that's how I became a real business owner. But just naturally in my life, I had always been hustling and selling stuff. In college, okay, so back in the day when I was in college, the hairstylists would charge the girls if they wanted a weave, they would charge them $10 a track. I'd be like, nah, I'll sell your weave for $75. I was rocking and rolling, like killing it. I've always been a really, really good cook. Like I love cooking. Like I'm telling you, I can get down like restaurant style quality. I'm telling you, when you come here, I'm going to cook for you.
Yeah.
So in college, I would cook and sell plates and I was like making mad money. And I still was working and I worked in the computer lab and I also like worked part-time at Target. So like that thing of I'm gonna work and get stuff done. And I was still handling my schoolwork and all of that stuff. But when I say it just has been there, it's always been there. And I'm gonna figure out how to make my coins, you know what I'm saying, and get whatever it is that I need to get. So it was just more the process of kind of like streamlining it. And then when it comes to knowing who I am, even when I was younger and I didn't fit in, I didn't care that I didn't fit in. I just was fine being by myself. Like you know what I'm saying? And I'm older now and I'm like, oh, I was different because I had a different design on my life. I'm not supposed to be like everyone else. But like that whole little struggle, kind of like, who am I? Am I coming off too salesy? I don't sell anything to people. I just inform people, which is what I teach my clients, which rolls down to attraction modeling and attraction marketing. So we're just here to inform, and I'm gonna put down something. And if somebody wants to pick it up, cool. That's the sum total. And so I think that's a big takeaway for people. Don't worry about being salesy. Just worry about listening to your customer and informing them or educating them about whatever the problem is that they're trying to solve or the desired state they want to get to. And if you can do that, your sales will go through the roof. And even if you have people on your sales team, don't try and teach them all these crazy high pressure sales tactics. Just teach them literally listen to your clients, figure out how you can help them and educate them on their options to solve their problem or get to the desired result.
So much wisdom right there. And I love it when you said just listen, figure out their pain points, because a lot of the times people don't even know, they just have these frustrations, but they don't even know what their pain points are. So if you could showcase that in a way that you say, I heard you, and if I heard you correctly, here's a pain point, here's a pain point, here's a pain point, and people be like, oh my God, it feels like she knows me. And then at that point, it's like, since you know me this well, what's the solution to this pain point? And you're like, yeah, I thought you would see it on my side. Now let me get my coin.
That's it. That's all it is. That's the whole secret sauce. And so I would say if anyone that's listening feels like you're over salesy, you probably are if you feel like you're over salesy. And I would challenge you to look at maybe your last 3 to 5 interactions with clients, whether they close or if the deal, fell apart, but go and look back at them and pay attention to your interactions. And honestly, ask yourself, were you really listening to that client, or were you just trying to force information about your product and all the cool features and what the service is? And you got to buy right now because it's not going to be here forever. Let me tell y'all this, with events, and this is again, getting a little older and realizing more of my gifts, who needs a $50,000 baby shower? Nobody.
Right.
Who needs a $250,000 or $500,000 wedding? Nobody. Who needs women hanging out of the ceiling pouring champagne in glasses? Nobody. So I was able to build a business during the recession selling stuff that nobody needed, but they wanted it. And because I was good at explaining it and listening to my clients and figuring out what their desires or what their dreams were or what they wanted to accomplish, what was the end goal for this, I was able to blow it out of the water. And so look at those last 3 to 5 interactions and be honest with yourself. Were you really listening to that person when they came to you and said, this is what I want to accomplish? Because most people that I meet, they don't know what they want. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what they need when it comes as far as like buying a product or a service or something like that. They know the desired outcome they're looking for, but they have no idea what it really takes to get to that spot. And so that's where you fill in the gap. You're the bridge. Okay, you're telling me this is the desired outcome that you want. So let me give you the process or the steps to get to this desired outcome.
You're the guide. Is it right?
Yeah.
You got to think of yourself as the guide. You're not the hero. You're the guide. If you can guide that person to get those steps, and you can and you can make it simple, then they're going to continue to do business with you, and they're going to refer you out. But first off, you got to listen. And so I love that you said that. Talk to me about, You've done so many things and been successful at so many things, and you've never been unapologetic about those, right? Or did I say that right? You've never been apologetic, right? You've been very unapologetic, right, about those. That's the way that I wanted to say it. So for a lot of people right now, when they first start out and they want to start this business and they're looking at it and they're trying to figure out what their gift is, and maybe they haven't had one of those professors that has said, hey, here is what your gift is. So they're trying to figure it out on their own. But they have a struggle because they don't know if they should be going after profit, where it might not be as much of their gift, but they can get the coin and they can make sure that they can at least be able to pay their bills, or the passion, but they don't necessarily know how to monetize that passion. For you, how are you able to decide and prioritize which you should go after first to build a foundation?
So I am a strategist. That's one of the biz building is the gift. It's comprised of a bunch of different things. And so I have to be really good at strategy, especially working in these social media streets, because there's just a lot out there. So you got to be able to navigate the water. And I'm probably gonna pee in somebody's Cheerios when I say this, but passion does not pay your bills.
Mm.
I think ultimately we want to get to a place where we're doing things that maybe we like to do or we're passionate about them. But I feel like the overall thing is, are you in your purpose? And there may be some things that you do along the way to get you ultimately on the right path to your purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like, for instance, my event design and production company was a vehicle to that. Like, I love design. I still do a few events every year because when that creativity is in you, you got to get it out. But at the end of the day, it led me to my ultimate purpose, which was helping as many people as possible make money doing things they like to do. So I think sometimes if we're looking strategically and we're making a plan, like somebody could be in a 9 to 5 right now that it really doesn't align with your purpose. It's really not your passion, but like you said, it pays those bills. Okay, so let's create an exit strategy around it. Like, I worked for 3 years before I went full time from the time I got it in my head, I started this company. I still worked for other people for 3 years before I was full time entrepreneur, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It grinds my gears, and people are like, "Oh, just jump out there, just leap on faith." The child, no, okay. The Lord said, "Be decent and in order." There's probably only 0.001% of people that are listening right now that God was actually like, you need to quit and leave right now. Most of us, it's going to take maybe a year or 2 years or 3 years to be able to plot that out. So if you have something that's generating profit for you right now, and it can fund your dream or fund your ultimate goal, be resourceful with your resources. Use that to your advantage. That's what I'll say. I was a substitute teacher for a while, for probably about 2 years, actually. And I did that because it allowed me to earn income while I could still build my business. The teaching schedule, I was off by 3:45 in the afternoon. So that means I still had in between 4 o'clock and 6:30 to go to site visits, client calls, do consultations of anything that I needed to know. Teachers also have a prep period. So I would bring in my VoIP phone and I would bring my own internet. And during the teacher's prep period and during that lunch period, guess what I was doing? Making calls, sending emails, talking to people. Was I passionate about being a substitute teacher? No, like not at all. I liked it, you know what I'm saying? And I enjoyed getting to be around the kids because I like to work with high school kids, and because I'd already been mentoring anyway for a few years at that point. But that was not my passion, but it was a path that created profits for me. And it was a pathway for me to get to my ultimate goal. So that's how I feel about that. I'm not even sure if did I answer the question?
You did, but I guess you definitely answered a good portion of it. And I think somebody right now, you gave them some security and not feeling pressurized to the fact that they need to walk out of that door tomorrow. But on the other side, if they feel like that they have multiple things of what they could do, how did you decipher that this is the one thing I'm going to go after to create the foundation, and then the other things I'll build upon them? Because for somebody right now that says, okay, I'm a great writer, I don't mind Facebook ads, I think I can learn that, I'm pretty good at that, I love to just be with people, so I probably could put on events, or like, how would somebody be able to know, here's the area that you should go down first and then build on the other ones after that? Or would you say just throw everything at the wall, see what sticks?
No, we can't throw because you're only one person. And if you're split in all those different directions, you can't really focus on anything and develop it the way it needs to be developed. I would suggest getting a notebook. Like I have notebooks all over the house. Like here's one right here, and I have different books for different things. And so this was one that I sketched in this one. So it has blank space. Every entrepreneur I've ever met, every creative person, we have so many ideas, and a lot of them are really, really good ideas, but it just may not be time for that idea at that, at the moment. So write them down inside of a book and then like literally do it on your laptop or your iPad, or I'm old school, like pen and paper. Make a list and you're going to start like figuring out what type of resources does it take to get this particular vision off the ground. Then what is the demand in the current market for this particular thing right now? Like for instance, I love events and I do events. I would never advise anyone to open up an event design and production company right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Unless you're doing virtual events for people or digital events, or maybe you're specializing in helping companies take their physical events and transition them into the online space. What are you doing, pimp? Like that's crazy. And so it depends. But like 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, go for it. And that could be your ultimate goal, is maybe to be an event designer or have an event space, but it's not time for that right now, if that makes sense. So I think you have to look at the resources it's going to take, the timing for this, like what's going on in the world. What are people, and again, you sell by listening. So what are people saying they really, really want? What do they really need right now? So seeing which of those ideas line up with that, then looking at your skill set that you have right now, how much of this is already in you, or what do you need to learn or go and get developed? Like you said, whether it's through a course or a class or an academy or going to a conference or something like that. And then once you go through those 3 things, because you're going to like all of them anyway, they're your ideas.
Right.
Pick the one that gives you the most favorable results. That's the way I did it.
Hey, what's up, Dream Builder? Have you been getting any value out of this episode? Would you like to get more exclusive content just like this delivered right to your inbox? If so, head on over to DreamNationPodcast.com and you can sign up for the email list, and that will give you access to exclusive content and more interviews just like this that's going to be delivered only to our tribe. So head on over to DreamNationPodcast.com. Let's get back to it. When you first were getting started out, and I know you talked about your professors, but when you first started getting into business, did you have a coach or a mentor or anybody that was already on the path, or did you have to figure it all out yourself?
It was 50-50. So one of the things that one of my professors did, they were partnered with the SBA. And I'll be honest, I didn't get too many warm fuzzies from the SBA. It was a bunch of old white dudes that didn't get me. No disrespect to old white dudes. Shout out to all the white dudes that fool with your girl. But old white man totally has a different experience in life than a young Black woman. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. And a lot of those guys did not see value in what I wanted to do as far as like event design and production and creating these spaces. They honestly didn't get it. They really thought, they actually told me it wouldn't work. Jokes on them, it did.
Right.
But one of the things with working through the SBA, I found out in the state of Arkansas, we have a minority business division, and all they do is focus on helping minority business owners grow, get contracts, become subs and things like that. So I went to one of the meetings for the Arkansas Minority in Business, Economic Business Development. So I went down to one of those meetings and I was like, I need to go through the process, filling out the application, learning, coming to the trainings. And so there I met this guy named Anthony. Anthony is amazing. He used to work for BOA, and they were like literally number 2 in the country with commercial lending and financing and developing businesses and things like that. And the state of Arkansas had snapped up Anthony. And so he worked with the state of Arkansas, him and Miss Karen. And they taught me a lot as far as putting together my capability statements, packaging myself, how to read the actual contracts and the proposals, how to submit what I needed to submit properly, helping me with financing when it did come time for me to get a line of credit and a loan, like all of those sorts of types of things. They definitely helped me to a great capacity. And then in the event world, though, as far as like how to market or what stylish or putting out or attracting your customer, they weren't really able to assist with that. That was more stuff that I had to figure out on my own, which ended up being the greatest thing for me ever, because look at what I do now
Right.
year wise, and people want to know how am I so good at it, because I had already blown $250,000 in ad spend. That's come. I'm a master at Facebook ads. I learned through experience and trial
Were
and
you
error.
running the ads yourself, or did you hire
Yeah,
somebody and you were trying different companies?
I tried some different. I was running them. Well, initially I went and tried different companies, and it just I was like, this is not working, and so I tried myself. And once I did that, because I understood people, I understood the audience, I understood how to test the audiences and everything, it was on. And I literally started running ads with a $50 budget for the week. That's how
Hmm.
strapped I was. And now sometimes we spend 50 grand in a week. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy to look at that transition. And then you get even better. Like one of the strategies I teach my clients, once we build up all this awareness, okay, well, now we're just focused on retargeting. And I have clients right now that are not running one Facebook ad and they're doing $500,000 or more every single month, because we put down the foundation. We did what we need to do that first year. I'm like, all right, you ain't got to run them no more. Here's the game plan. Here's the move. This is what we're doing. But all of those things have come with experience and trial and error, and just kind of ebbing and flowing and saying, okay, this is the idea I have in my head. Let's see if it'll work, right? And
Right.
sometimes I would try these strategies and it'd be whole total flops. Sometimes I'd try them, I'd land somewhere in the middle, and I'm like, okay, let me tweak this and tweak that and see if we can get it better. And then on occasion, I do one and I put it out there and it's just bam, you know what I'm saying? Right there from the start. I'm like, oh my God, why did it take me so long to figure this out? But I got it now. You
I
know,
got
that's
it
all that
now.
matters. I got it now. That's all that matters. But yeah, so it was a combination. So definitely on the more, I'll say, traditional business and getting in your firm contracts and things like that so your lights can stay on, that I will be forever grateful to Anthony and Karen. And they still are with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission right now. They're amazing. And I check in with them periodically and they're awesome. They're just out here doing the work and helping other small business owners.
That's what's up. Whatever city that you're in, if you're listening or watching this right now, look into the SBA. Look into if there's an economic development center, or maybe even at the local universities. There's a lot of, if you're starting to become an entrepreneur, a lot of these big time universities or even local community colleges, they have programs that are designed to help entrepreneurs and especially minority entrepreneurs to get their foot at least off the ground. And then that's when you know you have a solid foundation, you can invest into a coach or a mentor, even in the online space. So then you can accelerate your path. And that's what I love that I heard you do. You didn't just take it one step. You're like, okay, I'm good. Now you're like, okay, I got this foundation over here in the offline world, but now it's time for me to start investing into myself in the online world. And so that's super dope that you were able to have this type of success, but at the same time, still give that shout out to the people who help you get started. So I love to hear that. Talk to me. Do you read, or like where do you get your wisdom and your knowledge from? Obviously, you said experience gives you so much of it, but where do you turn to get all of that unconventional wisdom?
Okay, so not to be all super spiritual, but definitely the Bible, staying connected to whoever your source is. I believe in, God. I know people have different belief systems. So whoever it is that you feel is your all-knowing or omnipotent being, staying connected and centered, because there's something to be said for instinct and being able to listen and make the right decision, even when it doesn't make logical sense to other people around you. Being able to come back and be like, that's right.
Right. Your
Right. That's so that
intuition.
type of thing. Yeah, your intuition and staying developed on that. Also, I love being around people that master anything. It does not have to relate to what I do at all. I learn something from everybody. So if I see you're the master at making slime, well, I'm watching you make your slime and seeing what you're doing and what your systems are and your day to day and your time. If you're a master actor or actress or singer, if you're a master at kickball or soccer, if you're a master at stocks, I don't care. It doesn't have to be related to what I do. even I am looking like, let me see what I can learn from you. And so being able to take different things from other industries or other people and say, is this a way that I can integrate this into my system? Is there a way I can integrate this into my life? That definitely has been a big help for me. And then being around people who have common sense. I love my elders, my seasoned saints. They've experienced a lot of life that we haven't experienced. And there are a lot of different situations that they're going to be able to help you overcome because they've already been there. They've already seen it. And I think a lot of times for business owners, we focus so much on the profit generation side, not realizing too, you also have to be focused on how you feel like mentally, how do you feel emotionally, how do you feel spiritually, because you're the head of your business. So if you fall down or if you're not, doing well, then guess what? Your business eventually is not going to be doing well. Or what good is it to generate millions and millions and millions of dollars, but you die when you're 45? You know what I'm saying? So there has to be some type of balance. And so I love being around people who already have lived and done some things that I may be facing and being able to go to them for advice and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, or this is what I'm thinking. What would you do? I would say having a counsel. I think I probably have 5 big people that I go to in my life, my parents included. They would be 2 of those 5. But I think younger people like our age, I think we underestimate the wealth of knowledge and information from our elders on you know what I'm saying, on the cool,
Right.
like having some relationships with some older people that you can go to. I think you need somebody that knows you in a spiritual capacity. I think you need, if your parents are still here on the planet or if God sent you someone, that they are like parents to you, father or mother figure. I think you need one of those type of people. I think you need someone in a business capacity that can guide you and lead you as well, because they've overcome a bunch of hurdles and humps and can help you shake and bake on a lot of stuff that may be happening. I think you need a friend that you can talk to. I'm talking about a friend, like somebody that knows where the bones are buried type friend, a friend
Right.
like they'll pull up and slap somebody in the face for you, friend. I think you need one of those type of people that you can talk to. And then if you have someone in your life that is more like in a romantic capacity, I think them too, because all these people know you in different ways, right? It's all you, but they know like different layers of you. And so I think when they're giving advice to you or information, you're going to find somewhere where there's an overlap. And so for me, that normally is confirmation for me, or, okay, this is a path or decision that I can make. Because
Right.
and you have to be careful, because just because someone is really, really good at relationships, they could be trash at business. They could be trash at maintaining personal relationships. Like their business is doing great, but everyone in their life hates them. So you also have to look and see like, what are these people excelling at? So you know what information you can pull from them.
No, there's so much wisdom there. And the thing that I love the most of what you said is you always talk about exposure, right? You expose yourself to different people who are successful in different lanes, but at the same time, different people who know you in different ways in your life. So the more that you can expose yourself, which is tough for a lot of us because we don't want to be vulnerable. So when you talk about that exposure, people are like, but that means that I got to tell a little bit more. I got to show a little bit more. And obviously in the world of social media today, people don't have to be vulnerable because they can show everything the way that they want it with the filter, with the TikTok, or they can display that message. But when you talk about those 5 people in those 5 different lanes, that's going to be a lot of people who's got to see your wounds. They got to see those demons. And so that's a big thing. And so I hope somebody is able to cope with that, to say, hey, she's successful and she's been willing to expose herself and be vulnerable. So that means that I can do it too. And there's somebody out there that's going to trust and care about me and help me succeed.
Yeah, and that's why I said those elders, man, they're so important, because a lot of them, they're not looking for anything from you. They're just proud to see somebody out here trying to do something positive with their life. And my favorite thing about a lot of them, they're not on social media. They don't even care about this world. They just care about you as a person and how you are. And so I would really encourage that, because a lot of my friends that are my age, they never really talk to anyone that's older than them. And I'm like, y'all, I'm like, we got these seasoned saints out here in these streets, honey. We got these elders. They know stuff. They'd have been through
Take
things.
advantage.
Like, don't sleep on them. They have already been through what we're going through. When people got all scared about us going through another depression here in the States. I wasn't worried. I'd already talked to like 2 or 3 people that have already lived through several recessions, depressions, came out of them. They're able to say, this is what I remember. This is what happened. These are things that the government was doing. I'm just talking to them and getting their life experience. And it creates a map for you so you know what to do or what not to do.
Yeah, no, it's so much wisdom in there. If I know that a lot of the times people always say they would never, if they could go back and they would never change anything because their journey of how they got to today made them who they are today. But I always still like to ask the question, if there was one thing that you could change or that you wish that you would have accelerated or implemented sooner to accelerate your path to your journey and your dream and where you are today, what would that one thing be?
Oh yeah, I think that's pitch posh. People are like, I would never change anything. Stop the lies you tell. Especially if you go back with the knowledge that you have, please. There are several things I would change. But my biggest thing for me is not listening to my instincts. Like I had to get whooped severely before it was like, okay, it does not matter if it makes sense to other people or not. You don't have to give people an explanation. If you're not comfortable doing something, you're just not comfortable doing something. And anytime that I have got the biggest whoopings, the biggest challenges, had to pay the biggest prices in my life, and this is for me personally, it was literally from not listening to those things when I know I should have been going left. You know what I'm saying? I let other people convince me to go right. When I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, prime example with my ex-husband, and not to get too deep, but there was a lot of physical abuse inside of that relationship, like a lot, and a lot of emotional abuse too. And I actually talked to him and tried to call off our wedding 2 times. And I would let him convince me back into it. I knew I shouldn't have been marrying that person. And it ended up being one of the biggest, toughest, hardest lessons I had to learn in my life. Definitely not my proudest, moment, but I went through a lot, like to the point that I was depressed and I actually did not want to live anymore. And I attempted suicide. So very, very dark space and low space in my life. And after that and everything that came behind it, I was like, okay, I was like, if I'm not supposed to do something and I feel like something is telling me that's not the move, or something is telling me that is the move, I'm going to listen. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Like literally, ever since I made that decision, I have been able to create the life that I want to live. And it's almost like I live on rainbows and slide down in cotton candy clouds. But that, like, definitely, if there was something I would have started doing earlier, so many of the terrible things that have happened to me in my life came behind me. I feel like I was disobedient and not listening to what, like, my instincts, my intuition, things that I knew I shouldn't have been doing, right? Or I would let someone convince me into something that, even though I had a no for it, you know what I'm saying? And then just getting to that point where you're like, I don't have to give you a reason. If I don't do it, I won't do it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't
If
feel
I
like
want to
it.
do it, I want to do it.
I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's what's up. Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that. And again, being transparent, being vulnerable. I think that's where a lot of people are able to resonate with you, with your message and where you came from. Like you started off by saying the humble beginnings to where you are now, because they see that you're somebody who just continues to overcome. And like you said from the beginning, that resiliency and that consistency to work on yourself every single day and understand, if I go with my gut, if I go with my intuition, I'm going to be okay. And so I appreciate you sharing that. The last question that I have for you, and this has been such a dope conversation, but the last question that I have for you is, there's somebody out there that is super inspired by you, not only me, but there's somebody else that's out there that's listening or watching this right now, and they're saying, man, I love her journey, I love her path, and I would love to blaze a path that's similar to hers. But they have that little voice in their head, and that little voice says that they're not strong enough, they're not smart enough, or maybe they just don't have enough resources. What's the one thing that you would leave that person with to get them to just take action?
Like, part of me wants to be very eloquent and PC, but I gotta keep it real.
Yeah.
And if you're against profanity, if you're listening right now, plug your ears. But I'm gonna tell you, this is the best advice I ever got. It came from my papa. Fuck that shit. Don't ever let a funky motherfucker tell you what to do. Don't ever be concerned about their opinion. I can tell y'all this. There are several unqualified people rolling around disqualifying us on a regular basis. Who cares? Like you have to start watching what people do and what's going on. Right? So with some of these people, look at the life that you want to live. Like, get a clear vision of it. Like clear. Like I don't care if you got to go online and take screenshots and print it off somewhere if that's what you need to represent what it is. And then look at the people that are trying to disqualify you, that are reaffirming these negative things that in this self-doubt that you have, right? Are any of them living the way that you want to live? No, they're not.
No, never.
That you're taking advice from people that can't even properly advise you. And then go and look at those people that are where you aspire to be. Look at their behaviors, look at their actions, look at what they do, look at what they study, pay attention to what they read. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever, like who they pay attention. Success definitely leaves clues. And you're going to have to get to the point where you're going to have to learn how to speak against that negative stuff that you speak on yourself. Like, even if you literally have to say it out loud, speak the opposite out loud until you believe it, because you're definitely not going to make progress if you are super negative on yourself, if you don't have any belief in your own dreams or your visions or thinking that you can accomplish things, if you are around people who are always coming down on you. And let me make this clear, there's nothing wrong with critique, but there's something wrong with condemnation, right, and criticism. But critique is going to come from people who love you. Maybe they're trying to correct you. They're trying to help you. They may see some holes that you may have missed. They may see you about to make a misstep. And so they're, wait a minute, right? That's a totally different thing when it's coming from someone who loves you and they have your best interest in mind and they want to see you win, okay? So I don't want anybody to think like, hey, ain't nothing, everything I say is right. That's not true, okay? But we're talking about condemnation. That's what we're trying to avoid. And that's what a lot of people are in. So you telling yourself that you're not smart enough, or you're too old, or you don't have enough money, or your clothes don't look good enough, or a lot of women, like, because I'm a big advocate for live streaming. A lot of women are insecure. Well, I have this gap, or my skin's not that clear, or I'm too fat. Man, fuck all that. Whatever it is that those things that are holding you down, especially in the social media streets, they're going to make you relatable to other people. Other people are going to be able to connect with that. And that's what's going to make you memorable. Right. It's going to make you stand out. You know what I'm saying? So before you rock it with a lot of people that love your gap. You know what I'm saying? You rock it with a lot of people that like your accent, because that was the biggest thing with me. People would always try and come for me about my accent all the time. And people love it. They be like, hey girl, they be like, say, hey girl, hey, blink, blink, blink. It's the biggest thing. It's like a calling card. So that would be my advice. You're going to have to start literally to speak the opposite. You look towards people who are where you aspire to be, whether that's emotionally, financially, spiritually, whatever it is. If you feel like they are killing it, they are winning in that area, and you want some more of that, you watch them, you follow them, you stalk, you chicken hawk, you mimic, you get you some of whatever they got going on. You adapt some of their ways, right? You learn some of their mindsets. If they got a morning routine and you want to start that morning routine, well, God dang it, you know what I'm saying? You get into it, like, because the people that are around you, they're not there. So I would say, look at them and whatever they're doing. Okay, I don't want to do that. Like, for real. And it may sound harsh, but it's the truth, because I watch people all the time who are totally unqualified, disqualify people, pin people's Cheerios, suppress people's dreams. And we let people do that to us. And you got to be strong enough to say, no, this is mine. This is my vision. This is my gift. This is my thought. And I'm going to bring it to fruition. And you may not believe in it, and you don't have to believe in it. As long as I believe in it, I'm going to figure out a way to make this happen.
I love it. For anybody who wants to stay connected with you, where can they find you at?
I'm at King Ashley Ann on Facebook and the gram, KingAshleyAnn. Pull up on me, follow, turn on notifications and stuff, send me a DM. I try and live stream at least 3 times a week, free courses and classes and trainings and stuff like that. And that's the easiest way. If you want free marketing and content ideas, you can text the word coins okay, COINS, coins to 313131, takes the word coins to 313131, takes the word coins to 313131.
Got it. We'll make sure that we put all of those links in the show notes. But remember, Dream Nation, just as you said, you have to suppress all the negative thoughts and you have to take action on your dream, because otherwise that dream will only merely be a fantasy. That's all for this one. We'll catch you on the next one. That's all we got for this episode. Thank you for sticking around. That truly means a lot to me, and hopefully that means that we delivered massive value on this one. If you haven't already, the way that you could say thank you to myself and the team is just by heading over to iTunes and leaving a review and a rating. That's what iTunes loves to see. That's how we get out there even more. And I would definitely be grateful for it. I know the team would as well. Do me a favor and head on over to DreamNationPodcast.com. That's where you're going to be able to find all of the resources that we talked about in today's episode, as well as more exclusive content. And you'll also be able to sign up to our email list where we have more exclusive content. And we always love to hear the feedback from you all because you're our tribe. So remember, in the dream we trust, we'll see you on the flip side.